Hey everyone, coming to you tonight with interesting news article that hit our local news this week, and I thought we'd talk about it a little bit here. In that news article, it's from the Toledo, Ohio area where I live. It is an article that our local cable provider had their outsourced email servers taken down by what appears to be a ransomware attack. This hit the news yesterday or today, I guess, and they've been dealing with it apparently for a couple days, on and off. I see reports online on social media of this having been down for up to 3 days at this point, and that it got me thinking a little bit. And I started doing a little bit of digging, right? So here's the provider's page in question, right? And you can see that, they are basically indicating at 3:30 a.m. they started receiving inability to access email accounts on their services. They posted an update today. Here's the provider in question. Looks like they outsourced this email to a company called Mail2World, and Mail2World is also reporting this data. Now, at this point in time, all of the providers, or Mail2World, seems to be indicating that there is no customer data exfiltration that's happened here. I wanted to talk about that a little bit because it seems relatively inconceivable to me that unless they caught this very quickly, that there is not any data exfiltration. The pattern that I've seen almost exclusively recently with ransomware providers is they are doing data exfiltration as a secondary method to ensure that the customer pays, right? Backups have gotten good enough now that extortion is even better in many cases. People aren't going to want that email out there. So data exfiltration is a guaranteed way to ensure that people pay. I did do a little bit of digging around on the dark web today and could not immediately find that we had any data leaks or any reports for any of the ransomware groups I looked at, indicating that there was yet compromise on this. And obviously, no one in their right mind is going to talk to a third party about, what ransomware group or what threat actor may have actually done this. So time will tell. If we see, if they pay, we'll probably never see anything about it. If they don't pay, we'll see in a couple weeks if we start seeing the data show up on one of the sites that can be bid on, or in an attempt to pressure them to pay. But what this really got me thinking about is HIPAA. Right, we had, it's CNWR. We had some clients, and we don't anymore because we've migrated them off. We had some clients that were using this email provider's service, and we might still have one or two, but we used to have a couple clients that were HIPAA encumbered that were using this service, right? So whether or not they were actually using it to send PHI, I don't know. But what I do know is that I tend to see customers that are HIPAA encumbered that use email. I see it slip through, right? And sometimes it's encrypted, sometimes it's not. Usually it's encrypted. But this brings up an interesting question as to whether or not the provider, whether or not Buckeye, if they have BAAs in place with any of these clients, or more importantly, whether or not any of the individual doctor's offices that are using this service provider need to do a HIPAA breach notification. There's been a lot of question about that, but the law, the actual notification rule, requires that in any case there could have been a breach, right? Like this says whether the protected health information was actually acquired or viewed, right? Like we don't know yet whether or not the data has actually been exfiltrated. And doing a little bit of digging, the HHS's FAQ on ransomware indicates that a ransomware attack against a covered entity or a BAA or a business associate is 100% a disclosable offense here, right? So I would, if you are a provider, that a doctor's office or some sort of HIPAA covered provider that's using BACS or these back-end mail services, I would very much consider engaging your security incident response program and potentially notifying HHS that there could be HIPAA data lost, and especially if you sent any data through that system. And these sorts of things, that they make it very important to consider, right? When we consider HIPAA and other regulations, and we consider the big picture, it's very important to make sure you have all the proper BAAs in place, and make sure that you have all the proper protections, and a good incident response plan, and a privacy officer. All the things required to properly do this. So that was it. I just had a couple minutes of thoughts on what I thought this looked like, and I figured I would share them out and send it to my network and see what other people thought. So if you have thoughts on this, feel free to comment on it, and I thank you for your time. Thanks. See ya.